Yo, what's good? This is Carlos. You're now tuning into Hot Streak Podcast, episode 35. You already know what it is. And I am not alone.
What up, yo? It's Saif.
What's good, Saif?
Just chilling, man. Just watching some good old NBA and tuning out the haters.
Right. So, right off the bat, let's kick it off with some NFL news. The short, the off-season news, what's happening. The impending free agency period is among us. So we have some pretty important things that are going on in the league. Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent. He was not tagged by the Redskins earlier this week, so he has free will to test his free agency and pick the team that he wants to play for next season. There's some top 4 teams, some landing spots for Kirk Cousins. A lot of analysts and speculation amongst the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are a top landing spot. How do you think Kirk Cousins would fit into that Minnesota team?
I think he would fit in nice, especially if they can just focus on getting him without letting any of their other players go. And they have a really nice line. Just solid team overall. The maybe a few more receivers and then Kirk Cousins, and it would be definitely in the playoffs, I think, and probably fighting for the division championship.
That would be a pretty tough Minnesota team to come up against. They do have 2 running backs. Well, one featured back this season. Unfortunately, had a shorter season. Delvin Cook, the rookie, he had a knee injury midway point of the season, and he missed the rest of it. But he should be back next year healthy. They have Latavius Murray as well, so he can. He doesn't have to be just out there shotgun by himself throwing the ball down the field. I mean, he's going to have some running backs to take the load off of him as well. He's definitely going into a better offense if he lands in Minnesota.
Most definitely.
The Jets are also amongst teams that he may look at and say, hey, I want to play for that team. They were surprisingly competitive, I would say, this year. They played with a lot of heart, and towards the end of the season, they had some pretty good games. It wasn't like you're going up against the Jets and you're going to blow them out by 45. Like, they were there in most of their games. Their defense is nice. But, I mean, they're just missing that quarterback piece. So maybe Kirk Cousins is the answer?
Yeah, I think so.
Denver Broncos are also in the hunt, and the Arizona Cardinals. I hope he doesn't come to Denver just because they're in my division. My team's division, but you know what? I don't think Denver's that much of an option because I don't think they could pay him as much. Minnesota would definitely be the team that's able to pay him the most, according to the cap space and everything that they got to work out in between that. But some other notable franchise transactions. The Rams use a transition tag on their DB, LaMarcus Joyner, and not Sammy Watkins. So Sammy Watkins is going to be a free agent, I believe. And then Le'Veon Bell was franchised for the second consecutive year, I think, by the Steelers. So, I mean, the guy, Le'Veon Bell, whenever he's able to get a big contract, he's going to get a really big contract for a running back just because the guy can do everything on the field. It's amazing. But he's going to have to wait, I guess.
And for people who don't know what a franchise tag is, basically a team can just place this tag on any of their players to restrict them from becoming a free agent, and so they can stay with the team for that year, right?
Yeah, or if they have to restructure a contract or something, to hold the cap space, they hold them at like the same amount of their previous contract per year for that season, and then they're able to negotiate elsewhere in the team to free up some cap space to potentially sign this guy or let him walk.
Right.
It's kind of like they're renting him, but for that nice, hefty NFL salary.
Yeah.
I forgot who else got franchise tag this week. I think DeMarcus Lawrence from the defensive end for the Cowboys also got locked up for a season. Very, very productive lineman, strong, athletic, big guy. You know, he was a major point in that defense last season, so they're eager and happy that they got him back. Oh, the draft. Have you been watching the combine?
No, I haven't been.
Oh my goodness. So there's some freaks in the combine this year, guys. Yeah, like athletic freaks. There's a tight end who performed better than all the tight ends. He ran a 4.5 40, so that's pretty quick for a guy like that. I think there was an offensive lineman who ran a 4.5 as well. It's a deep running back class and a deep, I believe, the offensive line class is a nice group for this draft. So there's going to be a lot of pieces to be picked up. I mean, the top 10 has been set. The Raiders, I don't know if the coin flip was actually after our recording last year for the 10th and the 9th pick. The Raiders are going to pick 10th and the 49ers are going to pick 9th based off of that coin flip. But it's an interesting top 10. Maybe Shaquan Barkley is going first overall. There's just like he's amazing. And then let's alternate, I guess, into the NBA, man. So the Rockets have been red hot. I mean, they're on a 16-game win streak, the best team in the league right now. And James Harden has recently said that he feels like it's their year, that they're going to win. What do you think about that, Saif?
I think that his team is really good. I don't know about the playoffs just yet, but the amount of wins that the Rockets and the Warriors have over every other team in the West, like they have 50 wins right now. The Rockets have 50 wins. The Warriors have 49, and the Trailblazers in third have 38. So they're almost 11 wins behind. And it's like the Rockets have been really dominant, but I just want to see if the defense is going to be able to carry them through a playoff series.
Yeah, I agree, especially coming up against some teams that have been to the playoffs multiple times in the last couple of seasons. They know what it takes to get there, and they got enough team chemistry to stay there. It's going to be interesting. I think they're going to match up against the Warriors eventually in the conference finals, and that's going to be an explosive series. But I don't know just yet. That it's been a good month for them. It's been a nice stretch for them. I think they have the longest win streak this season.
16 in a row right now.
Yeah. And more NBA news. Kind of not related, not basketball and sports related, like actual playing of the game. But Kevin Love has recently opened up again about mental health as well. I think Jay Crowder earlier this week was talking about mental health in an interview.
DeMar DeRozan as well.
Oh yeah, DeMar DeRozan. It's a lot of players have been just bringing this to the surface and talking about it. So there's more awareness about mental health issues, you know what I mean? So that's pretty admirable for Kevin Love as well as the other players.
His in his letter on the Players Tribune, he talked about a game where he was having a serious panic attack. And I was like just trying to imagine, because I've had a panic attack before, and it's like one of the worst feelings ever. And he had one on national television in a stadium surrounded by like thousands of people.
Yeah.
You know, he's on the spot. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, these guys are living great lives, but it doesn't mean that they don't go through anything like everyone else, you know? And it's kind of probably takes a toll after a while, and a lot of guys don't talk about it, but it's definitely there, so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and elsewhere in the league, there's been some pretty good individual performances as well as team performances over the last month. I think the players of the month were announced earlier in the week or the end of last week. Anthony Davis for the West and LeBron James for the East. LeBron James averaged a triple-double in the month of February, which is, impressive.
Crazy.
Yeah, like you couldn't, I don't know, that's ridiculous stat. And I think Anthony Davis had like 40 points in the month, or like 38 points average in the month. He's really putting the Pelicans on his back to try to carry them to a playoff spot and like secure that spot, because obviously without DeMarcus Cousins they lose a huge piece, but it only makes me wonder, like, DeMarcus is staying there. We know that for a fact at this point. And next season when he's healthy, if they can bring in another free agent, like, they could be a pretty big, powerful team in the West. Unstoppable at the position of center and power forward with those two guys. And then another piece to that would be crucial.
Totally. I was just going to mention the Western Conference standings right now. The East is pretty much just as close, but seeds 3 through 10. 10's not really a seed, but in rank in the conference are pretty close. 4th seed has 36 wins, and the 10th seed has 34 wins. So those are just a couple games behind, and then you have the Lakers at 28 wins with probably about 19, 18 games left in the season. I think a lot of these seeds are going to be able to move around. We might see the 8th seed go to the 3rd seed. We might see the 3rd seed go to the 6th seed. We might see the Lakers make a move for the 8th seed.
Yeah, the Lakers have to win out this month. They have a pretty hard month. They have to definitely build some confidence this month and surge forward. They've been playing well as a team. They lost a tough one earlier this week against Portland. Damian Lillard just caught fire, and they weren't sure how to handle that, especially with the young guys playing up against a superstar like Damian Lillard. Sometimes you'll catch a little bit of that awe factor, but they've been playing good. 5 out of the last 6 wins, 5-game win streak on the road. Good ball movement. They lost Brandon Ingram for a week. He has a hip strain, but he should be back and healthy pretty soon. And then, I took a look at their schedule. I think they could definitely make some moves into the mix. They play Denver twice this upcoming week, in the next 7 days. They play Denver twice, so they got to win that game. You know what I mean? They play Cleveland, a team who hasn't been playing great as of late, but still strong, competitive. It's going to be an interesting end of the season. This next month is going to be great. Yeah,
dude. It's going to be crazy. Another thing I was going to mention is the Lakers have been playing really good basketball to the point where I think they were 17 of their last 23 games. And it's amazing, right? But, that Portland team was crazy. I think they have to play the Rockets, the Warriors, and the Cavs still, but the rest of their games seem pretty winnable. So we could see a real playoff run from them.
Yeah. And the East, the East is looking actually pretty competitive as opposed to other seasons. The Raptors in first by 2 games, and everyone else kind of like within single digits of each other. I think the seedings are probably going to stay relatively the same. I don't think Detroit can make a push, and the bottom half of the East does not look like they can make a push into the 8th seed or anything. I think it's going to stay pretty much the same.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know about the Eastern Conference. I'm not really sure who can come out on top from that conference. I think Philadelphia could make a lot of noise this season.
Yeah. Dude, Philadelphia, if not this season, next season, but they look like they're on the road to build a dynasty right now.
Yeah, they honestly look like they're going to build a dynasty. And, the rumors are only swirling about LeBron James's impending free agency coming up. I mean, obviously the Lakers, there's the talk about him going to Houston. If Houston can't beat the Warriors this year, he can definitely help them beat them next year. Or the Sixers have actually been drawn into the mix recently, and Embiid, again, with the trolling on Instagram, he's like, just trust the process. But it's like, that could happen. I don't think it's going to, but it could happen.
Yeah.
Could. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for the NBA. Unless you got anything else to add on, Saif.
Marcus Smart got fined $15,000 for criticizing a ref.
Oh man, the refs have been really trash this year.
Brandon Ingram's still out for like about a week, and the NBA might be getting involved with high school elite prospects. So they kind of want to get rid of their NCAA problem, and let's see if they do it. That's pretty much it for NBA, though.
Yeah, quick shout out to Shaq. Happy birthday to Shaq earlier this week.
Diesel.
And happy birthday to my mom, too, yesterday.
Mama.
But yeah, we'll be back.
Oh, shout out. My bad.
Yeah, go for it.
My mom's birthday was on Saturday. Shout out to my mom, too.
Mama. Yeah, so we'll be back. Keep it locked. Your Hot Streak.
This is Conor McGregor, and you're now listening to Hot Streak.
All right, we're back on Hot Streak Podcast. What's good? Hope you enjoyed the music break. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at Hot Streak Podcast, on Twitter at Hot Streak Pod, Pod. We're gonna jump into the Champions League because we had Champions League this week. So Liverpool and Porto tied 0-0. Porto got embarrassed in the first leg 5-0. So Liverpool's through into the next round of the knockout stages. And the second matchup on Tuesday was Real Madrid versus PSG. Real Madrid held a 3-1 lead to end last game's matchup, and the second leg didn't get easier for PSG as they were dropped down to 10 men, and they ended up losing 2-1. So Real Madrid has now advanced into the next round of the knockout stage. Wednesday we have Manchester City against Basel. Manchester City won the first leg 4-0. So most likely they will pass. We don't know as of this recording, but I'm anticipating they go through unless there's like some sort of miracle. Yeah, the talent level on those two teams is not very proportioned. So Man City is probably going to go on to the next round. And the best game of this week, I would say, of this knockout stage tie, Tottenham versus Juventus. They tied 2-2 in the first half, or in the first leg. And I mean, it's gonna be a pretty good matchup. I'm eager to see what's gonna happen. But as soon as those games actually happen in real life, we'll let you know about those scores. And then over the weekend in the Premier League, Manchester City beat Chelsea. So their league dominance, I think if they win the next 4 or 5 games in the Premier League, they clinch the title in April. They have not lost this season, or I believe they only lost once. Yeah, they lost once. Manchester United is in second place, 4 points behind, and doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch Manchester City this season. But the top 4, it's Liverpool in 3rd, Tottenham in 4th, and Chelsea dropped to 5th. Arsenal was gifted that Chelsea lost, and they could have, took advantage and got closer into the top 5. But they decided to lose. They played a pitiful performance. I think it's time for a change in coach at Arsenal, but we'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the Premier League. A lot of scorelines that were predictable, I would say. This weekend, there's some pretty good matchups. Manchester United versus Liverpool on Saturday. That is going to be a very offensive game. You might see some pretty good goals. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace on Saturday as well. Chelsea looking to bounce back to get in form against that clash for the Champions League against Barcelona in the next week. But Arsenal on Sunday, they play Watford, and Tottenham versus Bournemouth, and then Monday Manchester City versus Stoke. In the Spanish First League, Barcelona played second place Atletico Madrid on Sunday, and it was a battle. The 1 and 2 spot teams going up, racing to try to finish the season on top. And Atletico Madrid, they were struck by Messi magic. He third consecutive game where he scores a goal from a free kick. It was a really good free kick. Barcelona dominated the first half, but in the second half, it looked like Atletico Madrid woke up. They were testing the keeper a lot more, had a lot more controlled build-up and attacking presence. Their defending was really great. Barcelona could have jumped into the lead a couple times in the second half, furthered their lead, but it didn't really work out for them. But they ended up on top, 1-0 with that brilliant free kick, and they're now 8 points clear at the top of the league. I don't really think that they're looking back at second place right now. I think they're going to go for it all the way and be crowned the Spanish champs this season. As far as the fixtures that we have this week, earlier today we had Girona versus Deportivo. Saturday we have Malaga versus Barcelona, Real Madrid versus Eibar, Sevilla versus Valencia, and then on Sunday Atletico plays Celta Vigo, and the weekend's games ends on Monday with Betis versus Alaves. In the Premier League, in the Bundesliga, the German top flight, pretty much the same. Bayern Munich is 20 points ahead of second place. They won this league back in February, it seems like. They play Hamburg this week, Bayern Munich, on Saturday, and Borussia Dortmund is going to face off against Frankfurt on Sunday. Wolfsburg and Hoffenheim on Saturday, and that highlights pretty much the Bundesliga. The French league, there is the 14-point lead for PSG. Neymar was actually released from the hospital for his surgery that he had on his foot. He should be fine, but there's been rumors out of the Brazilian national team camp saying that the Brazilian doctor took a look and he could be out for a couple of months, not weeks. Let's not forget that the World Cup is this summer, so if Brazil lose Neymar, there could be some issues for that national team. Hopefully everything is good, the healing process goes great, and he's able to perform this summer. But, originally speculation was going to be 4 to 6 weeks. There's been different doctors saying different things, so we'll see. As far as the French league this weekend, Monaco versus Strasbourg on Friday. They're actually still playing as of this recording. PSG versus Metz on Saturday. And on Sunday, Lyon versus Caen and Marseille versus Toulouse. And then next week on Wednesday, PSG play again because they're a game behind. They play against Angers. In the Italian league, there's been a shift in power. Juventus have a game in hand. They're in second place right now, but they are currently only 2 points, or actually only 1 point behind Napoli. So once they play that game in hand, if they finish 1 point behind Napoli right now until that game in hand is played, they would be boosted into first place. There's some sad news coming out of the Italian league. The Fiorentina captain, David Astori, has passed away due to natural causes. He was 31 years old, Italian international, had various caps under the Italian national team, so that's a big loss. Rest in peace to him. They retired his jersey from the Fiorentina team. But as far as the fixtures this weekend, we have Roma versus Torino currently underway. On Sunday, it's when all the games are. Juventus versus Udinese. We have Inter Milan versus Napoli. And we have AC Milan versus Genoa. And then on Wednesday of next week, Juventus plays again versus Atalanta. And then next week again, we have Champions League, Barcelona versus Chelsea. And then, forget the other fixture. One sec. Bayern Munich versus Besiktas on Wednesday, the 14th. And Tuesday, the 13th, Manchester United versus Sevilla. And AC Roma versus Shakhtar. So that's pretty much it for this episode of Hot Streak. Like I said, and the soccer season is the end of the season is fast approaching, which only means more soccer because the World Cup. So keep getting excited. As of this recording, it's 100 days until the World Cup, so it's fast approaching. We're done with this episode. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Hot Streak Podcast, on Twitter at Hot Streak Pod, POD, hotstreakpodcast.com, crpshows.com. You want to plug yourself, Saif?
Follow me on Instagram, Safe714. I think. Yeah.
I think.
I'm not even sure, bro.
Yeah, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.
This was a Cesar Rodriguez production. Check out more at crpshows.com.